Como Lake Park as we officially open the first of the 5 new inclusive playgrounds that we are building all across Erie County's parks. This is a project that started as a result of the inclusive playground that was created at Chestnut Ridge Park in 2021. It is so popular. We have people from all across the county coming to it. We realized we had to build more inclusive playgrounds across our county park system. And that's exactly what we've done. With 3 new inclusive playgrounds that are now open or about to be opened, the one here at Como Lake Park, a second in Emory, and a third at Ellicott Creek Park, with a 4th to be opened later this year at Akron's Falls Park, as well as a 5th to be opened on the western side of Chestnut Ridge Park, the lower end as it's often known, to complement the one that's on the eastern side, the higher end. This is a $2.7 million investment in our inclusive playgrounds. Inclusive playgrounds are a place where individuals of all abilities, especially children of all abilities, can come, even those that may be mobility impaired and require a wheelchair or some other device to get around. As we said, the inclusive playground at Chestnut Ridge Park is quite possibly our most favorite attraction of all our parks right now, and we're glad to be able to bring these to the entire park system with this brand new inclusive playground that is now open at Como Lake Park. Not the greatest day to be out on a playground, but if it warms up a little bit, the sun comes out, I'm sure parents will be bringing their children of all abilities here. I'm going to turn it over to our Parks Commissioner, Troy Schinzel, to talk a little bit more about the project and what's on the horizon in the future.
Thank you, Mark. To Mark's point, I mean, we've over the last several years invested over $3.5 million on inclusive playgrounds. We have another $500,000 in this year's capital budget for a park to be determined for another inclusive playground. And Isle of View, an enhancement project at Isle of View, will also later this year be bid out, and that park will also see an inclusive playground. So Erie County has committed ourselves to inclusive playgrounds and accessibility. I think as much as we want to focus on the equipment in the playground, the beautiful poured in place surface, one of the things we really wanted to focus on was accessibility. The playground that was here before had no parking lot to it. We've got a paved parking lot, we got a concrete walkway to it, so getting people here to the playground, it was a focal point of the construction. The commitment is not only for the playground, but accessible to the playgrounds and to anything we do now. We're including that, from rehab shelters to buildings to restrooms. Really, our focus is on accessibility and improving that all across our 10,000 acres. So it's a great one of the 3, as I said, as Mark said, 2 more done this spring, and we're just going to keep on moving forward and putting inclusive playgrounds in as many areas as we possibly can.
This could be enjoyed by any kid. I mean, you don't have to be
Yep.
right.
Any child, any ability, and that's the point. So that's the important part for us, and working with Parkitects, our vendor, and Rodriguez, our GC, we really picked out elements that kind of cater to children with any ability.
And I think the thing to remember,
Has a
well,
special
just
needs kid in the family that can
Yep.
share stuff together, kind of.
it's not just young children. You often see special needs children who are older, who enjoy these playgrounds that may not have been able to enjoy a playground before. Someone in their teens, 20s or beyond, who've never been on the equivalent of a merry-go-round for whatever reason, and they can get on one now. So it's just an incredible addition to our parks, and our parks have changed through the years. They've gone through different cycles of what was very popular. We used to have a lot of baseball fields in our parks. We have only a couple in our parks now because baseball's just not played that much anymore, at least in the parks. We used to have the old slides and the old swing sets, which I loved, enjoyed, but as the Parks Commissioner reminds me, when you have to climb 15 feet in the air to get on the top of the slide, it could be a liability issue. And of course, a child that had mobility, other disabilities would never be able to enjoy that slide. So now we have these new types of features to create an inviting park for all.
What type of traffic are you seeing at the original at Chestnut Ridge Park?
It's constant. It's amazing. We've had a few special events there in the winter. Tons of kids. Morning, noon, and night. There's traffic there. So we're hoping to spread some of that out. But that playground it's one of a kind, and it's at the casino at Chestnut Ridge. So it'll always be busy. There's always children there. Always people enjoying that.
And what was really cool during Winterfest is the sled hill was open. We had more children utilizing the inclusive playground when we did the sled hill. There were still people going down the sled hill, but there were parents they were happy as a clam. They could put their kid there, let them run around, have fun. not have to worry about them maybe sledding down the hill. But it was really great to see that adding these additional features to our parks just brings more people to them, and they have a great time.
And hence why we're building a second playground at Chestnut, another inclusive playground, help spread some of that out.
Any other questions? All right, thanks everybody. We'll be doing announcements soon for Emory, as well as Ellicott Creek Park, similar, and let's hope we have a little better day for those.
Nothing to say about Bill Stadium.
Nothing to, well,
What is the latest update as far as that goes?
well, the Buffalo Bills, of course, released additional renderings today. The renderings are always works in progress. They are showing what is the latest design. I think we're really getting down to really close to what's going to be the final design, because they're starting to have to put together the packages for construction. Right now, there's issues that all the major issues are done. The documents I was hoping we would be able to have as of last week, but there's still some things that the attorneys are dealing with on opinion letters and the like that are just keeping it from being signed by me, being signed by Terry Pagula, and then send over to legislature for the final approval. There's no major issues that have to be dealt with from a standpoint of the economics of the deal, the finances of the deal. We'll be announcing soon a lot, the funding schedule and things like that. The cost of the stadium has gone up. I can say that. It has gone up, but there will be no additional cost borne by the people of Erie County or New York State, because under the agreement that we have, all cost overruns and any increases are to be borne by the bills, and that'll be coming out soon.
Now, I mean, you're more familiar with the renderings than we are, and you've probably seen many different ones. So, I mean, what's new to these renderings, and what's, I guess, deleted, what's been added, anything?
I think you get a better understanding of what the outside of the building looks like. What you have to remember, I was saying it early on, is that the concourses will be enclosed. So once you get inside the building, you're not going to be like walking in the snow or the rain like you do at the existing facility. The concourses are enclosed, and I think people have a better understanding that because of the way it's designed, once you're in the building, the concourses are enclosed. Of course, it's an open-air stadium, but you see a better idea of how the screening works on the top. And you also, I think, get a better idea of the width of the stadium in these most recent renderings, which really show that it could be used for soccer, FIFA standards. So I think it gives you a better understanding that this will be a multi-sport stadium, not just for the football team. And I'm sure there'll be tweaks along the way, but it's pretty much, I think, what you're going to see is a final product, because there may be some cosmetic changes on a color here or there, but the design is getting to the point where it's nearing the end on the design of it. I do know that Mr. Bagul has been paying his architects to come up with these designs, and I think from what I saw, at least the response that I saw on social media, there was a really good response. There's still the question, why is it open air? Well, Mr. Bagula wanted an open air stadium, and it would have had, if there was to be enclosed, the additional expenses would have to be borne by the people of our community. And that was not a dollar figure that I thought was appropriate if the owner didn't want to have a dome stadium. So people say we love our football here, we love it in all weathers. Yeah, we've had a few bad storms that have affected some of the games, but in general, I think coming into Buffalo is one of the toughest environments for any team to play in, and that's going to continue with the new stadium.
When are we going to see a shovel in the ground? People have been wondering.
Well, we certainly... I would like to be able to send over to the legislature the documents as soon as possible, because we really can't commence work until the legislature approves it. Once the documents are signed, we can start issuing permits and things like that, but we can't do work until it's actually been approved by the legislature. At that point, then we have an agreed upon deal between all three parties, and that covers everything. And people wonder, why can't you do it beforehand? But you have insurance issues, you have indemnity issues. If you start doing work there and the county has not authorized it as a legitimate contract, there's serious problems that happen. If somebody gets injured, well, then who's responsible for it if you actually don't have a contract? So my goal is, and I think everyone's goal, is to have shovels in ground in April. It's almost April. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to finalize these issues. The attorneys will resolve their differences, which are not big, but they do affect whether or not we can sign the documents and go forward.
Any potential things to trip this up?
You know, I don't think it's going to trip it up. I think we just have to resolve some things that often happen in these big deals. We're not talking about with the same documents that someone would sign to get a mortgage for constructing a house, like a construction loan that you convert over to a permanent loan once the home's open. It's very complicated. There's opinion letters that have to be issued by all the council as to the documents and their enforceability, and there's some discussions going on between the attorneys right now about the opinion letters, and we have to have those as part of the deal. We can't close it, and so I'm hopeful it'll get done in this week. It should.
Whose attorneys? Is it the county's attorneys or is this?
The county's attorneys' opinion letters are all done.
Okay, so this is just a state thing or is it bills and state discussing?
It's the bills the state and the county are discussing. Their attorneys are the opinion letters to be issued. And the attorneys want certain opinions in there from one side, the other side might not want it. It's a very legal, technical issue. It's something I dealt with as an attorney all the time when I did transactions. Most people wouldn't even think about it. And you don't see it like when you do a mortgage or anything like that. You don't see opinion letters per se, but you do see them in these large transactions as to what's being done. So, hoping it gets done soon.
To make it FIFA ready, do they have to remove seats or anything to expand the field?
My understanding, it'll be wide enough to make it FIFA ready. And you get an idea with the picture that you can see the extra spaces, especially in the corners, because it's much more rectangular, where it's oval now, and it comes in very close. If the corner of the end zone is not that far away from the wall, but in the new one, it's a rectangle, and there's much more room to the sides, which makes it soccer ready, FIFA ready, where the current facility can't be used for it. It's just too small. Okay, thanks everyone.